This tape is made available that you may be better prepared for severe summer weather. However, note this word of caution. Since organizations, equipment, and systems change, be sure to check the date at the start of this tape to see when it was last revised. If it has been more than 3 years, some sections may be out of date. Also, after this tape is over, you will have to be certain that you and all of your people understand their responsibilities both to others and to themselves. Let's begin by briefly looking at the severe weather history of this area. The 1953 Beecher tornado was one of the most deadly single tornadoes in history. Those who experienced it and survived will never forget it.
The Beecher tornado was the worst natural disaster in Michigan's history. Its burst took place in a pasture west of Linden Road. The tornado left 119 dead, hundreds injured, and nearly $19 million in property damages. But what will probably never be accounted for is how it affected the mind and spirit of those who lived through it.
While the Beecher tornado was the worst natural disaster ever to strike Michigan, it is not the only tornado that has visited here. This section is included to remind you that Michigan does have its share of tornadoes. These are shots of the weak 1984 Flint tornado as it approached Flint osteopathic photographer Bill Shea. Note that there is no visible connection between the cloud and the ground. Yet it caused damage at several locations and could have had serious consequences had it not been for the alert response of several volunteer groups. Thunderstorms were expected that day, with the possibility of heavy ones. However, weather conditions were not considered favorable for the formation of tornadoes. But tornadoes do not necessarily do the expected thing. They do as they please, regardless of what we think about them. The twister was located on the WJRT-TV12 storm search radar after it had been reported by spotters. It appears as a little fish hook west of Flint near the Shiawassee County line. As you view this tape, watch for 4 things. You will want to learn the weather conditions that favor the formation of tornadoes, what tornadoes may look like, how to protect yourself, and how you can receive proper information. Note the 3 graphs. The number of tornado deaths peaks in April. We usually have the largest number of tornadoes in May. Wide that commonly has the most days on which tornadoes occur. The most violent twisters, and therefore the most deadly, usually occur early in the season as the cold air continues to pour down from the north while the warm, moist air begins to move up from the Gulf. While spring is considered tornado season, they can and do occur any time of year. April is often the month of peak activity in Michigan, especially for the more violent tornadoes. But any time from March through September may bring severe weather. While tornadoes can occur any time of day or night, almost 60% take place between noon and sunset, with 21% occurring between sunset and midnight. This means that about 25% of all tornadoes are likely to be during. Michigan is not in Tornado Alley, but we have had our share. We have been averaging about 16 tornadoes per year with about 9 deaths. This has been ranked between 13th and 19th in the number of tornadoes, but between 6th and 2nd in the number of tornado deaths. Examining the statistics, since accurate records were kept beginning in 1953, we see that within a 56-mile radius of Flint, we have been averaging about 3 tornadoes per year and 1 violent tornado about every 10 years. Many people don't realize that tornadoes are this frequent in our area. But these are only figures, and they are not able to predict what will happen next. It isn't the statistics that kill you, it's the big twister that you weren't prepared for. This is the purpose of this tape, to increase your preparedness. So let's go on now to the Severe Storms Forecast Center in Kansas City as we begin the section on how severe weather information is obtained and made available to you, the public.
It's the job of the severe storm forecasters in Kansas City to keep on the lookout for that special combination of weather conditions known to cause severe thunderstorms and tornadoes. Around the clock, the watch is kept. Weather information is received from all parts of the country. Temperature, pressure, humidity, wind. The data, fed into computers and digested, reappear printed on maps of the United States. Not just one map, but 5, representing 5 elevations up to 40,000 feet. Thus, the severe storms forecaster has a three-dimensional view of the flow of forces that make up our weather. A low-pressure system moving eastward is drawing in a tongue of warm, exceptionally moist surface air from the Gulf of Mexico, with low-level, very dry, hot air from the southwest, and cold, dry surface air from the north, all on a collision course. When these out-of-balance air masses meet, the reaction will be violent. The hot, dry air mass meets the moist Gulf air. A squall line forms. Turbulence grows as the cold front moves in. As these storms move into the influence of the strong jet aloft, they can become more intense. These are the ingredients needed to trigger tornadoes. The forecaster estimates that in about 3 hours, a line of towering thunderstorms will converge on this area. Some will be of tornado intensity.
A tornado warning is issued by the local National Weather Service office after the spotters see it touch down. The spotters, many of them amateur radio operators, are deployed after a tornado watch has been sounded. All watches are issued from one place, the National Severe Storms Forecast Center in Kansas City, Missouri. Here, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, expert forecasters keep watch over all parts of the nation with satellites and radar.
A watch is usually issued several hours in advance by the National Severe Storms Forecast Center in Kansas City when conditions are favorable for the formation of severe weather. A warning is issued by the local weather office when severe weather has been cited or is strongly suspected. A warning means take cover immediately if in your area. The local meteorologists have no way of knowing what is happening down the road unless someone reports it. While they can see the scan relayed from the Detroit weather radar, it does not really show what is occurring during severe weather. Radar cannot be relied on to detect a tornado, and it does not replace the human eye. This is why spotters are necessary. Trained skywarn spotters, many of which are amateur radio operators, are dispatched to various parts of the county to watch for the development of severe weather. Working under the direction of the local National Weather Service, the amateur radio emergency service spotters report directly to an operator at the Weather Service office by radio. It becomes very hectic for the Weather Service employees, so reports of weather conditions can be received immediately and analyzed without taking up more of their time and without having to rely on the telephone. If possible, one operator is sent to the Flint Township Fire Department to relay reports from the fire departments that have trained spotters. The spotter reports are then given to the meteorologists on duty. If needed, this information is put onto teletype, which goes to most radio and television stations. Severe weather information is also broadcast over NOAA Weather Radio. Receivers are available with an alerting feature that turn on when a special tone is sounded during severe weather. Here at WJRT-TV12, we have a completely equipped weather center with a set of computerized weather instruments, NOAA Weather Radio, weather teletype, Alden facsimile for receiving weather maps, and a dedicated computer for weather graphics. In addition, the live storm search radar owned by WJRT is the only operational local radar in this area, capable of showing 6 levels of precipitation density. Since I am also a federally licensed amateur radio operator, I often have my walkie-talkie with me, so I can monitor the spotter reports as they are radioed into the National Weather Service on the Skywarn net. Having direct access to the same spotter reports that are being given to the National Weather Service gives us a head start of several minutes' time, which could be critical. During the day, meteorologist Phil Schwartz or weather analyst Norma Hall can monitor the Skywarn net using equipment carried by several ARES members who are also employed at WJRT. When it becomes necessary to break into programming with a bulletin, the proper map or chart can be accessed on the computer to provide a rapid visual depiction of the weather situation. These vivid pictures, along with the radar and description of what to expect, give the viewer at home a maximum amount of information in the shortest possible time. If it is not an emergency, a crawl can be put across the bottom of the screen without interrupting a program. A crawl is also done approximately every 30 minutes to inform you of information previously broadcast. You are urged to use every means possible to remain alert to severe weather. And remember that no matter how good the system is, there will always be delays. You are primarily responsible for your own safety. So be alert to what is coming and be sure you and your family know how to protect yourselves.
Do have a disaster plan for the community, for schools, factories, and businesses, for the home. Listen to NOAA Weather Radio. You'll find it between 162.4 and 162.55 megahertz on the public service band. Buy a battery-powered weather band radio with a warning alarm. They're available at many department and electronic supply stores. Do take cover when the warning comes in a basement, or lacking that, in a windowless interior room. Watch for weather clues: darkening, boiling clouds, strong winds, large hail, and frequent lightning. Don't ignore warnings. Don't try to escape in a car or truck. Don't open windows or doors. Don't stay in a mobile home. Nearly half of those killed by tornadoes in recent years were in mobile homes at the time. If necessary, take shelter in a ditch or ravine. Lie flat and cover your head. Don't light matches, candles, or cigarettes when gas may be escaping in or near a damaged building. Don't enter disaster areas.
We interrupt this broadcast to bring you a special tornado bulletin from the Weather Service. Severe thunderstorms and possibly tornadoes may be expected in the city and all of Carson County this afternoon between the hours of 2 and 6. A tornado watch is now in effect. We repeat, a tornado watch is now in effect.
A tornado watch is no cause for immediate alarm. Overhead, the sky may still be blue. The watch is issued to alert you to the possibility of tornadoes and let you begin taking precautions to protect yourself and your property if and when a tornado is actually spotted moving toward you. Only if a tornado is sighted will a tornado warning be sounded. This will be the signal to take cover. These familiar things can become deadly missiles in tornado winds. Small portable items should be moved indoors. Flying debris is a major cause of injuries and deaths in tornadoes. The funnel cloud is spotted. Tornado confirmed. The Weather Service is notified. The warning goes out.
Is this a test? What's the matter with the sirens? Are they stuck?
What do we have to do to get these sirens turned off?
We interrupt this program to bring you an official Weather Service tornado warning issued for this area. Leave your radio or television turned on. We repeat, this is an official tornado warning. All persons are urged to take shelter immediately and observe safety precautions. In homes with basements, go below and stay below ground level. Stay away from windows. In office buildings, apartments, and schools, go to the basement or low-level inside corridors. Keep out of auditoriums or gymnasiums with lightly supported roofs. In homes without basements, get under a piece of heavy furniture or take shelter in a closet near the center of the house. People living in trailers should take cover in a nearby reinforced building or below ground level. A storm cellar, if available, is the best possible shelter. Anyone in an automobile in the path of the funnel should leave the car and get into a ditch or ravine. If you are caught in the open, lie flat and cover exposed portions of the head and body. Make as small a target as possible. We repeat, take shelter immediately.
Seconds save lives, and the life you save may be your own. Most tornadoes occur during severe thunderstorm warnings or tornado watches, so be prepared to move to a place of safety in a hurry if necessary. Lightning kills many more people most years than tornadoes do. For example, in 1979, there were 67 lightning deaths, with 2 in Michigan, but there were also 48 lightning injuries in Michigan. This is a special danger for spotters and others who have to be more exposed during times of severe weather. Make certain you know how to protect yourself and be sure that your family knows how to protect themselves in case of a tornado. So that you may better understand the weather conditions, we present this next segment on what to watch for.
Virtually all tornadoes come from thunderstorms, and thunderstorms start with cumulus clouds like these. The process is speeded up in this time-lapse film. Thunderstorms start when warm, moist air becomes buoyant and begins to rise. This air expands, cools, and condenses to form clouds. The cloud towers you see here are updrafts of rising air. You can see these updrafts grow to higher altitudes as they build in columns several miles in diameter and over 10 miles high. These towering clouds have now developed into a thunderstorm, which might bring heavy rain, hail, strong straight winds, and possibly tornadoes. Here is a representation of an entire thunderstorm to help you pick out that part of the storm that is most likely to produce a tornado. We are looking northwest. These sharply outlined and rapidly ascending towers locate the storm's most intense updrafts. The storm has reached its peak altitude and is being blown downstream into an anvil by high winds aloft. The cloud base under these towers is generally free of rain. Most of the precipitation falls out here to the north and east of the rapidly building tower. The tornado will most likely develop underneath these towers to the southwest of the main precipitation area. Large hailstones often fall immediately to the north and east of the tornado. The tornado usually comes out of a cloud formation called a wall cloud. You may see rotation in the wall cloud prior to the tornado. Looking west again, at the right, to the north, rain. At the left, a rain-free cloud base at the southwest edge of the storm. This is the part of the storm where tornadoes are most likely to form. Most tornadoes come out of the formation you see here, the wall cloud. The wall cloud is an isolated lowering of the cloud base. It marks an area of strong updraft and should be watched carefully. It may produce a tornado. Even without a tornado, winds beneath the wall cloud may be extreme. Large hail may fall from beneath or near the wall cloud. Here, to the right of the wall cloud, is heavy rain. From a distance, you can see vertical cloud towers rising above the wall cloud. Looking west, rain to the north, rain-free base to the south, wall cloud silhouetted against the sky. Wall clouds can take on different shapes and forms. They are typically 1 to 3 miles in diameter. They're always connected to the cloud base, usually just outside the rain at the southwest edge of the storm. When you can see the wall cloud rotate, it's dangerous. As the updraft draws air into the wall cloud, the air begins to rotate. As the air approaches the center, it spins faster. The motion is like the whirlpool in a bathtub drain, upside down. Sometimes you can actually see the spiraling motion in the clouds. Here is where the tornado is forming. The tornado is a violently rotating column of air in contact with the ground. Rotation is happening on a broad scale, and the tornado is an outgrowth of the rotation. Look at the rotation in this wall cloud and in the small detached clouds below it. Most tornadoes move from the southwest at average forward speeds of 30 miles per hour. Speeds have been clocked up to 70 miles per hour. Here's Cabot, Arkansas. This unique time-lapse sequence of a storm shows all the elements that produce tornadoes. Updraft, rotation, and, below the base, a wall cloud. Out of this wall cloud forms a tornado. Sometimes you might not see the funnel at all, especially when it is nearly overhead. However, there might already be a tornado, even though the funnel is not yet visible. A cloud of whirling dust and debris might be the first sign that a tornado is forming. There's There's a connection between the funnel and the debris cloud on the ground, even though you can't see it. This monstrous tornado was half a mile wide at the ground. Imagine this tornado with trees and hills in the foreground. It might be very difficult to identify. It's difficult to spot a tornado at night. You may hear the sound of a tornado at close range. Remember, if you're in large hail, the most dangerous part of the storm is very near. Sometimes lightning can illuminate cloud features, such as this wall cloud. This tornado over Tulsa shows you a clue for night spotting. Look for flashes of light when the tornado hits electrical power lines. Tornadoes in the southern states are often hard to spot because they are embedded in heavy rain. Tornadoes in the south may resemble this one, where low clouds, rain, and trees hinder the spotter. This wall cloud over Oshkosh, Wisconsin, produced a multiple vortex tornado that was incredible. Clouds. Mamatas are high-level clouds that can be seen on the underside of the anvil. They are not dangerous. Remember the structure of a storm. When a thunderstorm approaches, the first cloud feature that might catch your attention is the shelf cloud. The dark background behind the row of clouds is rain. In fact, it is the rain that cools the air and creates the outrush of wind, called the gust front, at the leading edge of the storm. Behind the gust front are straight line winds that may gust to more than 50 miles per hour. This rain-cooled air may create another type of cloud along the gust front, called a roll cloud. This horizontal cloud is not a tornado. It is unusual for a tornado to come out of the leading edge of the storm. Now we are back near the southwest edge of the storm, looking west, where you would expect to see a tornado. Here's a rain shaft. It's easy to recognize it for what it is. This one's tougher. It's the same rain shaft 10 minutes later. This one could fool you. If you're not sure, watch it over a period of time. It is not a tornado.
While radar is indispensable, it does not always indicate a tornado. Trained spotters can. Spotters tracked this tornado from start to finish, while radar never showed it. Spotters, they are the most reliable source of information we have about tornadoes.
looked out the window, I had seen the funnel where
everything was just green, and it was just an awful rumble and rumble.
Everything just seemed to go. The whole house just collapsed down around us.
After that, I just dove under the desk up there, and as it feeling went off.
In a minute, 2 minutes later, everything was over.
That was it.
I ran out to the
And then when I got up, I was wringing wet, and my hair was so full, and my mouth was so full, and my eyes were so full of insulation. And I looked at my husband, and I said, "We're alive."
The tornado has passed, capricious, swift, savage. For the indifferent or the skeptical, the penalties can well be tragic. Survival depends on heeding the warnings, knowing what to do, and having the time to do it. The Tornado Watch gives time to plan. The warning, time to act. And planned action can keep the toll in dead and injured to a minimum. At NOAA, the vigil goes on. Skilled men use every means at their command to give you the precious gift of time, searching for danger signs beyond the horizon in a constant effort to guard you against the gathering storm.
Having viewed this special tornado tape, we hope that you now have a better understanding of the weather conditions that favor the formation of tornadoes, what tornadoes may look like, remembering that here in Michigan, visibility usually is not as good as it was for those pictures you saw of tornadoes taken in the Great Plains. And we especially hope that you'll also know how to protect yourself and your family should it ever be necessary. This tape was originally made to be used by the WJRT-TV staff for in-service training. The last 5 minutes covered in specific detail the safest places in the studio building, when and how the Channel 12 employees would most likely be alerted, what extra responsibilities the weather people and master control have, and how to obtain more information. Since this version of the tape may be used by anyone, from an individual family to a factory employing thousands, from those whose only responsibility is to protect themselves to service agencies who must protect the helpless under their care, you must now complete this last part. We're sorry we can't do it for you, but the final responsibility must be yours. As this is designed primarily for in-service training by management or your safety committee, there is just too many differences between groups to anticipate everyone's situation. If a tornado, funnel cloud, or other severe weather is spotted, report immediately to Central Dispatch at 732-9911. That's 732-9911. Give all the information on the first call. This is not the fastest nor the most efficient method of reporting, however. Unless you actively participate in Skywarn spotting, it is the best that can be presently done due to federal cutbacks at the National Weather Service. If your group is a fire department or other agency that regularly spots, you should already have further reporting information which you received during your previous Skywarn classes. If you are radio dispatched, a severe weather information sheet is available for your dispatcher from the ARES. Small tornadoes may have a path width of less than 100 feet, last for only a few minutes, and dissipate before they can be reported. On the other hand, a violent tornado can leave a path of destruction over 2 miles wide, travel over 100 miles, and remain on the ground an hour or longer. It's the collapsing of buildings and the objects hurled like missiles that cause most of the injuries and deaths. So be sure you know the safest place in your home, your school, or business, and how to get to them, as well as the places to avoid. You are usually safest on the lowest floor, preferably in the basement, or if you have a home or building with no basement, then in an interior room or closet and under a sturdy table. Don't report a tornado just because someone else says it had to be a tornado or because you have some wind damage. Straight line winds from downbursts can do more damage than a small tornado. Leave a narrow path, last for a very brief time, and even look and sound like a tornado. We have had a number of violent downbursts in this area these past few years. Learn the weather conditions that precede a tornado and use every means at your disposal to be informed of them and where the threat of severe weather exists. There is no reason to run for shelter each time a tornado watch has been issued, but it is foolish not to heed warnings or your own senses. And remember, no matter how good the warning system is, there will always be delays. Expect the unexpected. You are ultimately responsible for your own safety. Thank you for sharing this special program on tornado safety with us. One thing to remember about tornadoes is that they can always be expected to do the unexpected. Remember, the difference between a watch and a warning is the difference between a possibility and an actuality. And sometimes a watch may be the only warning you receive. To summarize, no matter how good the protection plan is that you may have, you are ultimately responsible for your own safety in the event of severe weather. Use what you have learned here tonight, because it could save your life. For TV12 WJRT, I'm Tom Stevens.